So good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you to the July 9th, 2024 meeting of the Calvert County Board of Commissioners. At this time, I'd like to ask Pastor Tarpey if he would come forward and give us an invocation, please. Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, we want to thank you this morning for life. God, we thank you that we are alive because you still have work for us to do on this earth. You are not done with us yet. God, I thank you for this meeting. We commit this meeting into your hands. We pray, God, for our leaders, our commissioners, God. We thank you for continuing to give us the Exodus, God, 18:21 leaders, one who fear God, and God, one who is willing to serve the people. God, I just pray for this county, that you continue to bless Calvert County, bless our leaders. God, I pray that you continue to give them wisdom, God, to lead your people, Father. Father, we pray for compassionate leaders in our county, Father. God, we just thank you today for all that you have done. Thank you, God, that your will be done, your kingdom come in this county as it is currently and presently be done in heaven. God, we just thank you, God. We commit the rest of the meeting into your hands. Lord, let it go the way you want it to go for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor Tarpey, and you come to us today from Revive Church right here in Prince Rupert, correct? Thank you. The next item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Are there any corrections or additions to the agenda as presented?
Yes, I move under appointments, Calvert County Ethics Commission, that we table that appointment to a later date. I also move that we approve and adopt the amended agenda by moving consent item number 5 to new business and adding appointment to the work group to study public-private partnerships for Calvert County Public Schools.
Second.
Have a motion and a second that we table the Ethics Commission appointment today and that we move consent item 5 to new business. Any other discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I do have a couple of public service announcements to make today. Just want to make sure everybody's aware it's been very warm in Calvert County recently, and we do have cooling centers available if you are in need. And we have free public transportation now, so if you need transportation to get to those cooling centers, please take advantage of them. And you can go to Calvert County and download our Calvert Prepare Emergency Management app to your mobile device if you have one, or you can visit calvertcountymaryland.gov/beawareprepare, and that will give you all the information that you need for those to get that support. Also want to remind everybody the animal shelter is still over capacity. Fees are being waived. If you have a need and have some love you're willing to give to an animal, please go to the Calvert County Animal Shelter and see if there's an animal there that may make your life even better. Correct, Commissioner Hart?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This afternoon at 2 o'clock, excuse me, we're going to cut the ribbon on the new public safety building located right here in Prince Rupert at 110 Main Street. It's going to bring all of our public safety administrative staff, fire, EMS, and career EMS staff right here in Prince Rupert all under one roof. So if anybody would join us, it's at 2 o'clock today at 110 Main Street. And also tonight at 7 o'clock at the Southern Community Center, there's going to be an informational meeting on the Lusby Villas project. We had a lot of questions from the public about what's going to happen there, and so we decided that in the interest to answer everybody's questions at one time, you can go to the Southern Community Center tonight in Lusby, 7 p.m. Staff's going to be there to do a presentation about the project. You'll be given an opportunity to make comments or ask questions, but it's just an informational meeting, just so everybody's aware. And you can also, I'm sorry, it'll be live streamed on YouTube. For additional information, you can email pcadministrator@calvertcountymaryland.gov. And that concludes my public safety, my public service announcements today. I'm sorry, heat's gotten to me. That brings us to proclamations. The first proclamation is for Buy Local Week. I think Director Oberg.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner President Hans. So my name is Julie Oberg. I'm Director of Economic Development, and I just wanted to thank the commissioners for recognizing our local growers, processors, agricultural and seafood businesses that are represented in this room, as well as those who are actively working throughout Calvert County. I don't think this is included in the proclamation, so I just want to share the Buy Local Challenge started in Southern Maryland and by SMATIC, and it is expanded statewide, and we're really excited about that. So we hope that people will add more local products to their meals this week and then extend that throughout the year. And we've got Carolyn Trosbach here, our Ag Development Specialist, and a number of other representatives from the local food community. So if you want to come on up and introduce yourselves and go for the picture. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rachel Norris Achterberg. I'm here representing SMATIC.
Good morning, I'm Erin Farley representing the Calvert Health Medical Center, the Calvert Health Market.
Good morning, I am Caitlin Cosgrove. I am the Calvert County Farm Bureau Ag Ambassador, and then I am also the Calvert County Farm Bureau Young Farmers Secretary.
I'm Valerie Brogan, I'm here representing Bulrush's Cafe, and thank you guys for having me.
Morning, Commissioners, County staff. I'm Ron Clauda. I live in Prince Frederick, and I operate the Pleasant Peninsula Apiary. I keep several beehives full of hard-working lady bees who make tasty honey that I sell at the farmers market behind the Calvert Medical Center.
Good morning. I'm Caroline Trosbach, the Agricultural Development Specialist with Economic Development. Thank you for recognizing Buy Local, and thank you to everyone, whether in this room or outside, for showing your support by shopping at local farms, road stands, farmers markets, wineries, breweries, local grocers, local restaurants, and other businesses. There's so many benefits to buying local, and just thank you for continuing on that chain of events that helps keep money in Calvert County. Thank you.
Hold up, Caroline. Isn't there a website they can go to that lists all the vendors in Calvert County that provide?
Yes, please go to buylocalchallenge.com for the Buy Local Challenge Week. Also, calvertag.com has farmers organized by category, whether you're looking for meat, eggs, fruits and vegetables, plants of farmers that you can buy from in this county. And if you want to buy local today, please come visit the Calvert Health Farmers Market at the North Campus parking lot from 2:30 to 6:30 p.m.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, I don't normally do proclamations as the board, but this is the only one I do all year long. I always do Buy Local because it's near and dear to my heart. But people, in Calvert County, we always hear people talk about how our rural character is so important to them, why they move here. And it's because of the farmers and the watermen that are out here working every day that protect that rural character and make it look as beautiful as it does. So it's so important that when you spend your money, you take the time to go to a farmer's market. Sometimes you got to go a little out of your way to visit a farm stand, but to spend your money right here in Calvert County and support those local growers so that they can maintain those farms and keep those water operations going. And we do have some great farmers markets. Calvert Health is today, and they always have a great market there at the hospital, right in the back parking lot. And we have farmers markets throughout the county that operate different days, so you can visit those farmers markets and get all your needs. And it's just, I can't say enough. When I was secretary was when it kind of Buy Local took off. And it's just amazing to see throughout the state the support that our farmers and producers get from our citizens. I live on Brooms Island Road, and I drive by Jake's Produce every day, and it just amazes me the volume that he does there now, and that his father started that business on the back of a wagon 30 or 40 years ago, and a few cars would stop by, and now every time you go by there, the parking lot's packed. And so it's really good to see people out supporting local farmers. So I'm going to read this proclamation. Whereas Calvert County agriculture, aquaculture, forestry, and wild harvest watermen provide high-quality, locally grown and harvested products, and whereas local farmers, foresters, and watermen link the past to the present and are vital to the county's economy, environment, and quality of life, and whereas support for Calvert County's local producers and harvesters is found through its citizens' desire to retain our farmland and waterways and through their choice to purchase fresh, locally grown and harvested produce, various meats and beverages, from local breweries and wineries, which contribute to higher nutrition, better taste, less waste, and less pollution. And whereas Calvert County is committed to promoting local agricultural enterprise and calls upon all citizens to choose products produced and harvested in the region's farmlands and waterways daily. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Calvert County that the week of July 19th through the 28th, 2024 be known as Buy Local Week in Calvert County. Be it further proclaimed that we encourage all citizens to participate in the Buy Local Challenge, pledging to enjoy one Maryland-grown product every day during Buy Local Week, given our hands and seals this 9th day of July, 2024, signed by all 5 commissioners. And I do have to put a plug in. On July 25th at Serenity Farm, just across the Benedict Bridge, there's going to be a Buy Local event that starts at 5 o'clock. You buy tickets in advance or at the door. You can go on the website, buy your tickets now, and it's really close, so it's not that far, just across the bridge in Charles County. So just thought about that to put a plug in. So thank you all for joining us today, and thank you for what you do every day to help Calvert County be a great place.
Three, two, one. One more. Thanks so much. Congratulations, Ben.
Yep, so we just double click the next one. And then if we move it to like these, I'm gonna have to move, so that's why we're gonna show.
And I should have mentioned at the start of the meeting, so most of you know I farm, and everybody's known it's been a little dry and hot here lately. So in my life, the worst drought we ever had was in 1983, and I think the drought we're in right now is going to come pretty close, depending on how it goes in the next month. So I'm going to ask you to pray for all the farmers here in Calvert County and the great state of Maryland, because this drought is going to be devastating to some people. You know, I hear... I'm a little tainted. I hear people whine and complain because they need another 50 cents an hour or they'll never make it. Our farmers are going to lose money this year. They're going to lose money. You know, I've spent more money in my crop this year than I'm going to get out of it, regardless of what my cost of living is. So I ask that you pray for all the farmers in the state of Maryland that are suffering through this drought, because it's going to devastate, especially some of our young farmers. So, sorry. Thank you.
Not a problem. Can I have Linda Jones come up, please?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
For almost 40 years, the United States has celebrated Park and Recreation Month in July to promote the power of parks and recreation, building strong, vibrant, resilient communities, and to recognize the more than 160,000 full-time park and recreation professionals, along with hundreds of thousands of part-time and seasonal workers and volunteers that maintain our country's local, state, and community parks. In Calvert County, that equates to over 300 employees and hundreds of volunteers. This year's Park and Recreation Month theme, Where You Belong, celebrates the many ways parks and recreation professionals across the country foster a sense of belonging in their community by providing welcoming and inclusive programs, essential services for all ages and abilities, and safe, accessible spaces to build meaningful connection. As part of our celebration this year, we will be spotlighting 10 of our longest-serving employees from across all divisions in our social media posts. Collectively, these 10 individuals have given more than 140 years of service to Calvert County Parks and Recreation. When asked why Parks and Recreation is where they belong, all of them have said one thing in common: serving the community and getting to make a difference in the lives of our citizens. All of us here today representing Parks and Recreation feel the same way. We are proud to serve the Calvert County community and know this is where we belong.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come up and introduce yourselves?
Morning, Commissioners. Mike Marr, General Manager, Chesapeake Hills Golf Course.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nate Smith, Recreation Division Chief. Good morning, I'm Stephanie Sperling, I'm the park planner.
Good morning. Brian Graybrick, Assistant General Manager, Chesapeake Hills Golf Course.
Good morning, I'm Kirsten Perry, the Special Facilities Division Chief.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nola Forme Duval, Executive Administrative Assistant.
Good morning, Detoria Jacks, Business Manager.
Good morning, Brooke Barco, Aquatic Division Chief.
Good morning. My name is Jordan Daly. I'm acting as Park Superintendent right now, originally Park Manager at Ward Farm Park in Dunkirk.
Good morning, Amanda Stillwagon, Park and Safety Division Chief.
Good morning, Gregory Hefner, Park Superintendent.
Good morning, Patricia Balut, Hospitality Manager.
Good morning, Ken Geyer, Recreation Systems Analyst.
Good morning, Taylor Morton, Sports Assistant Coordinator.
Good morning, I'm Bob Brenham, I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation. And I'd just like to say thank you to not only my teammates who are joining me in person here today, but I've asked that as many people could listen virtually or on their phones to understand the importance, the role that they play in the lives of our citizens as well as one another. So my thanks is not only to you in the room, but also to the many that are still out in the field working while we're here able to be in the air conditioning and get this acknowledgement. There's just far too much work to be done for far too many people, so I want to thank them as well, even though they're not here to hear it. So.
Well, I'm a reasonably a newcomer to Calvert County. I'll be here 49 years this November. And over the years, Parks and Recs has always been there for my family, for my friends, for our children. And I know all of the commissioners do all that you do. You have a very important job. I've met with most of you. I'm just blown away by the vastness of what we have in Calvert County and how you all keep it up, how you all deal with the public, how you all make the wheels turn. Your organizational chart is just monstrous. I don't know how you all do all that you do, but I thank you for all that you do because you are a very important piece of the puzzle, probably our largest piece of the puzzle in Calvert County. So thank you all for all that you do. Okay, whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Calvert County, Maryland, and are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region. And whereas parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that provide therapeutic recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled. I don't know if people realize that and what that contributes to that portion of our citizens in the county. That is just fabulous. Aid in the prevention of chronic disease, help improve the overall mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks and recreations programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community, provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors, improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of the air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development, and produce habitat for wildlife, thereby proving that the areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and Calvert County, Maryland recognizes the benefits derived from its vast parks and recreation resources. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners that the month of July be known as Parks and Recreation Month in Calvert County. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Calvert County encourages all citizens to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of our local Department of Parks and Recreation, as well as federal and state levels, given under our hands and sealed this 9th day of July, 2024, signed by all 5 county commissioners. Again, thank you all for all that you do. Thank you.
Might have to do some shifting around, so everybody, yeah, we're gonna have to move some people. Mr.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay, all right.
You might need to pretend you like each other.
I'll make you look good then. They won't notice your gray hair at all.
Okay, gloves in the frame. Commissioner Hart and I missed your name too. Can you scoot a little to your right? You're fine. Back row.
Yeah,
Commissioner
Nate.
Hart and me. Yes. Oh, okay.
How hard to
Your
stand
other right.
up?
This one? That one, yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you all for your patience. Blink. All right, thank you all. Congratulations.
Good to see you.
Hey, congratulations.
See you guys.
Oh, you weren't in town, did you? Gotcha.
Good to see you.
Good for you.
Good.
Congratulations. Hey, good seeing you, bud.
That's your brother. Thank you for what you do.
Hey, good seeing you, Nate.
Tell that boy I said hey. All right, you got it.
Yes, 3 times.
What is that?
Hot and dry.
Hey, Nate. Hi.
That brings us to appointments. Madam Deputy Administrator.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Turner, Deputy County Administrator. Today we have several appointments, reappointments for your consideration. The first is Calvert Marine Museum Board of Governors. Staff recommends you reappoint Thomas Rice and appoint Albert Lane and Garrett Ressing. 1 vacancy will remain following this action.
I move that we reappoint Thomas Rice and appoint Albert Lane and Garrett Ressing to the Calvert Marine Museum Board of Governors.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Oh, opposed? Sorry.
The next is Veterans Affairs Commission. Staff recommends you reappoint Patricia McCoy, Robert Spector, and Michael Sweeney, and appoint Edward Sullivan as the Board of County Commissioners representative. No
don't-
vacancies will remain following this action.
I don't know about that Pat McCoy.
Come on now. She's even here.
I don't think she heard you.
So I move that we reappoint Patricia McCoy, Robert Sprecher, and Michael Sweeney, and appoint Edward Sullivan as the BOC's representative to the Veterans Affairs Commission.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is the work group to study the fiscal and operational viability of the public-private partnerships for Calvert County Public Schools. Staff recommends you appoint Commissioner Mark Cox and Commissioner Catherine Grasso to the work group for this study.
I move that we appoint Commissioners Cox and Grasso to the work group to study the fiscal and operational viability of public-private partnerships for Calvert County Public Schools.
Is there a second? I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have several items under consent today. First item, Department of Parks and Recreation Chesapeake Hills Golf Course liquor license. Item 2, Department of Public Works lease agreement for 162 Main Street, Suite 3, Addendum 2. Item 3, Department of Parks and Recreation, Maryland Energy Administration's Green Light and Outdoor Lighting Efficiency Grant Award. Item 4, Department of Public Safety Fiscal Year 2024 Legislative Bond Initiative. Item 6, Department of Public Works Waterman's Wharf Slip Agreement. Item 7, Office of the County Administrator Memorandum of Understanding with Calvert County Public Schools for Build to Learn Act funding. Item 8, Department of Public Safety Apparatus Grant, Solomon's Volunteer Rescue Squad and Fire Department Fireboat 3. Are there any objections to those items listed under consent today?
None.
If not, is there a motion to adopt?
Was item 8 supposed to be
Yes.
included?
Yes, it's item 5 that was removed.
Okay. I move that we adopt and approve the consent agenda items.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to new business. Item 1, Department of Planning and Zoning, proposed amendments to rules of procedure, Calvert County Board of Appeals. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Jason Brinkley, Deputy Director of Planning and Zoning and Board of Appeals Administrator. Joining me today is Maureen Dahl, who is the Board of Appeals Coordinator, and Lisa Krebs, who is the Board of Appeals Clerk. The primary reason why we're here before you this morning is to give you an update on some recent changes that the Board of Appeals made to their rules of procedure. These changes were approved by the Board of Appeals back in February and now necessitate your approval before they are enacted. But thought this would be a good opportunity to give you a little update on the history of the Board of Appeals over the past few years, as well as a refresher of the jurisdiction that the Board of Appeals has and what cases typically come before them. So any good place to start is the legal authority which the Board of Appeals derives its authority from, starting with the land use article 4-301 through 4-306. This sets forth some requirements, memberships, rules of procedure as well. A couple things to note is that each entity that has zoning in Maryland has to have a Board of Appeals, and that while most of the jurisdiction of the Board of Appeals, that is the issues that come before them, are set by the entity themselves, the issue on alleged error is set forth in the Maryland Land Use article. And as I said, since most of that jurisdiction comes from the entity itself, here in Calvert County, we have that under the zoning ordinance Article 11, which Maureen will go through in detail on what exactly that is. That article also sets forth that the Board of Appeals must have a rules of procedure. Interestingly enough, that rules of procedure actually incorporates the bylaws of the Board of Appeals, which is the reason why we're here today, because under Calvert County Code of Ordinances, those need to be approved by you all. There's our current members, as you can see on the slide. There's 5 members and 2 alternates. We do, as of January 1st, have 1 vacancy. Mr. Baker has decided to resign. July 1st. It's very important that we see that vacancy get filled, hopefully promptly. I know that that's been advertised, as well as the 2 alternate positions are also vacant as well. And then Lisa Smith Sanders is our counsel for the Board of Appeals. Now I'll turn it over to Maureen.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, I am Maureen Dahl, Board of Appeals Coordinator with Planning and Zoning, and I am here to explain the different requests presented to the Board of Appeals. General variance requests are typically for encroachment into building setbacks to construct sheds, decks, or additions to a home. We have a large percentage of critical area variance cases because Calvert County is surrounded by water, with the Chesapeake Bay spanning the east side and the Patuxent River to the west. These are requests for impacts to the critical area buffer, expanded buffer, steep slopes, or to exceed the permissible lot coverage. We've also had a couple of requests to exceed the 4-foot limit for a fence height within the buffer. Forest conservation requirements implement the provisions of the Maryland Forest Conservation Act. Requests to remove specimen or monument trees and requests to encroach within forest conservation area setbacks fall under these requirements. Specimen trees have a diameter of 30 inches or more measured at 4.5 feet above the ground, or trees that have 75% or more of the diameter of the current state champion tree for that species. A champion tree is the largest of its species within the United States, the state, county, or municipality. We have not had any requests to remove champion trees. Monument trees are a national, state, or local champion tree, a tree having a diameter of at least 24 inches measured at 4.5 feet above the ground, or a tree having a diameter that it is at least 75% of the diameter of the current state champion of that species, measured at 4.5 feet above the ground. The board also hears cases for variances to the floodplain. The floodplain is defined as any area susceptible to being inundated by water from any source, such as the overflow of inland or tidal waters, or the usual and rapid accumulation or runoff of surface waters from any source. In the 3+ years I've worked with the Board of Appeals, we have not had any of these requests. Special exception requests are fun. These are typically for Class 2 or 3 home occupations and requests to keep livestock on less than 3 acres. A home occupation defined in the zoning ordinance is any activity carried out for gain by a resident as an accessory use in the resident's dwelling unit. The definition does not apply to business activities on farms as permitted by the zoning ordinance. Approved Class 2 home occupations must be conducted entirely within a dwelling or accessory structure in a space not exceeding 600 square feet. That includes storage. No outside storage is permitted. No items can be offered for sale or publicly displayed on the premises except those incidental to the services offered, and all required state and county licenses and permits must be obtained. A Class 3 home occupation must meet the same requirements as a Class 2. However, Class 3 permits the employment of up to 2 equivalent full-time employees in addition to the employees that are permanent residents of the dwelling in which the home occupation is located, and allows on-site appointments of customers or clients. We receive lots of requests every year for livestock on less than 3 acres, primarily chickens, but some for goats and even cows. It has been mentioned that with the update to the zoning ordinance later this year, the requirement may be reduced to 1 acre. If that happens, we anticipate this will significantly reduce the number of referrals to the Board of Appeals. In special exception cases, the board almost always imposes conditions, the most prominent being that the special exception is not transferable. It is approved for the current property owner at the requested location. So if they move, they would have to come back to the Board of Appeals for approval of their home occupation or livestock at a different location, and the purchasing homeowner does not have approval for a home occupation or livestock without applying for their own permits. Alleged error cases are referred to the Board of Appeals if an applicant believes they were denied a building permit or a determination by the zoning officer or another administration or enforcement of the zoning ordinance was incorrect. And as you can see by the chart on the next slide, we've had a few decisions on alleged error cases in the last 3.5 years. However, with the exception of one case that was upheld and one that lingered until this year and was settled through the courts, the rest were withdrawn by the applicants. Most of the cases that come before the Board of Appeals are approved. However, you may notice that the number of cases heard versus the number approved is not the same. This is because many cases have more than one request. A couple of examples are an applicant may need 2 variances to build a shed, a front setback and a side setback, and someone in the critical area may need a variance to impact steep slopes, one to impact the critical area buffer, and a side setback, which would be 2 critical area variances and 1 county variance. So if you don't have any questions on that, I will turn it over to Lisa.
Good morning, Commissioners. I am Lisa Krebs, Clerk to the Board of Appeals. As Jason said, these updates were reviewed by the Board of Appeals and approved on February 1st of this year. The main purpose of the updates before you is to reorganize and clarify the board's previous rules. For example, information on submitting exhibits was moved from 4-101B to 4-102B, which created a new subsection for the submittal of evidence. The updates also clarify what constitutes substantive versus non-substantive amendments in Rule 2-103. In the same section, we broke down how requests for amendments for applications are handled if they are submitted prior to the hearing versus during the hearing. We have made the document easier to navigate online by linking each section and subsection to the table of contents. Additions to bring to your attention include identification of parties in section 1-104, which defines the applicant, affected property owners, and interested parties. 2-104D is a subsection on refunds. We added the refund process to our rules of procedure as they previously were not included. One noteworthy revision is section 3-101, which is for public notices. Rules previously stated that cases that were continued or deferred, meaning the case was called to the board, but it was not concluded. They did not require new sign posting, and notices were not resent to affected property owners. The rules now state that we will repost the sign with the new date and send new notices to all affected property owners for all cases, whether they're new, postponed, continued. We are always looking for ways to improve and update the rules of procedure as needed, and we thank you for your time today.
And Commissioners, we're requesting your approval of the proposed changes to the rules of procedure, and if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Please, you have a question?
So I do have a question. So on the variance on the side and the front setbacks, is that one fee that individual has to pay, or is that multiple fees that they have
It's
to?
multiple fees, so they pay a fee per variance. They pay one referral fee, and then the fee is per variance that they need. So depending on what they need, we at one point they needed 6 variances in a critical area.
And we can't do
So
that all on one application, one fee?
It is one application, but it's multiple variances because they're requesting multiple things.
So you have to have findings for each one of those.
Correct.
Which
Does
complicates
that
the figure.
team look at that 6 different times, or do they make one come out site visit? Or is that 6 site visits?
For
when they
staff,
have-
it's just one.
So if we're only doing one site visit, why are we having to charge 6 times for it?
Well, I think the idea is to, for, residents, they should be staying within their building restriction lines.
Yes.
So if they want to encroach on their side setback as well as their front setback, they'd only have one if they would stay within that side setback.
And there's also a public policy reason, because if you're violating the zoning ordinance or asking for exceptions to the zoning ordinance, because a lot of these are after-the-fact builds, each one of those, if you can violate everything and only have to pay one fee,
But
that's
could we separate that differential between,
For
someone
after the
coming
fact.
in for a shed and as opposed to someone who's after the fact?
And I think that's always things that we can look into as we're moving forward. We're always looking for ways to improve.
Just
and-
simplify.
Of course.
How much is the fee?
For after the fact,
It depends what they're asking for. After-the-fact fees are $500 per project. Variance fees are $500, referral fee is $75, variance in the critical area is $600, special exceptions are $750. It just depends what you're asking for.
So you could get into the thousands on,
Yeah, I think there was a case
One.
where it got into thousands.
It did. I will also clarify that when we do a variance versus a critical area variance, those are separate findings. So the Board of Appeals has to say the variance meets X, Y, and Z criteria. Then they have to motion, vote on that. Then they do a separate motion for the critical area. And then if they need a special exception at the same time, that itself is another motion and findings.
And what justifies a refund?
I'm sorry?
What justifies a refund?
It depends what they're asking for. So if we've already advertised and then they withdraw their application, we deduct the advertising fees. If they withdraw the application prior to us advertising, they are given the full refund except for the referral fee. If we are in court, in front of the board and they withdraw, we've already advertised, we've done the work, we've done the site visits, we've prepared everything, so there's no refund given at that time. So it really just depends their timing on what they're asking for. If it comes before the board and it's found that they don't actually need what they're asking for, if there was an error, and I believe the state's in our rules, if there is an error, then they will receive a full refund even if they've come before the board.
So if I come to you and appeal a decision that was made and you find in my favor, I get my money back? Is that what you're saying?
Not in that case.
No, so you're not appealing the board, you wouldn't appeal the Board of Appeals decision to the Board of Appeals. You would appeal that to circuit court. But if you came before the board and then it came out that you don't actually need the variance for whatever reason,
Okay.
in the year that I've been here, that hasn't happened, but we did clarify some things because the refunds weren't in our rules, and it does come up.
And the fees are based on time and that
Right.
it takes.
So for example, we had one that came to us, it was referred to us, and I guess it wasn't explained well by the homeowner who was applying, even though he had a contractor doing it. It turned out that it was an in-kind replacement, so he did not need to come to us. So we refunded his.
When someone comes to the planning commission, on average, how long does it take to go through the process and obtain a finding?
It's Board of Appeals.
You're talking Board of Appeals?
Board of
Yeah,
Appeals.
I'm sorry, Board of Appeals.
So our timeframe is 8 weeks prior to the hearing is the application deadline.
Okay.
I can't speak to what happens prior to that, but we get the application at least 8 weeks prior to the hearing. And then in that time, we do the site visits, we prepare everything that we need to for the board. We provide that information to any interested parties, the agents, applicants, and then we have 45 days after the decision is made to then provide them with the order.
And in that time frame, that also, well, we advertise, we post a sign, and we send out letters to the adjacent property owners. That also gives those adjacent property owners or anyone who's interested to provide comments.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have none.
Motion? Direction?
Okay, I move that we approve the proposed amendments to the Rules of Procedure, Calvert County Board of Appeals as submitted.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. So, new business item 2, Department of Public Safety fiscal year 2024 Port Security Grant Program. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dave McDowell, Director of Public Safety. We're here this morning to discuss a grant proposal for Solomon's Company 3 boat replacement. I can go into some of the details that brought us here to this hearing this morning, if you'd like.
Please.
Okay, so the total cost to replace Boat 2 is $1.2 million.
Boat 3. Boat 3.
I'm sorry, Boat 3. I'm sorry.
Prince
Boat
Rudder
3.
doesn't want a boat, I don't think.
No. Okay, so there's a Barbara Warner, our grants writer, has applied for an $800,000 port security grant. The county has a $200 match for that, and Company 3 has $200,000 match for that. And Company 3 has the same amount, $200,000, to match that grant, bringing us to the 1.2. What's not included in that cost are some of the ancillaries, trailer, the boat lift, and some other equipment that has to be enumerated.
Ms. Warner?
Good morning, Commissioners. Barbara Warner, grant writer for the Department of Public Safety. So I'm here to discuss the Department of Homeland Security Port Security Grant for the replacement of Boat 3. The estimated cost for the replacement of Boat 3 with the minimal equipment is $1,209,000. This amount does not include the trailer, the boat lift, the storage, or the sophisticated CBRN detection and protection equipment. And I'll explain, CBRN stands for chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear. So the detection equipment would detect vapors or spills, etc. The protection is a filtration system, or the cabin of the boat, and that is for our first responders. So we are asking for, on the port security grant, $800,000. The $800,000 includes the county's cost match of $200,000. So the actual federal amount that we would receive is $600,000. The cost match has already been taken care of with the $1 million that the county has set aside in FY 2024. You may ask, okay, we have $1 million from the county, we have $100,000 that was just signed for the legislative bond initiative. We still have a shortfall of $109,000. But like I said, that does not include the trailer, it does not include the boat lift and storage, nor does it include the sophisticated equipment. In addition, this is just an estimate. We do not have, at this time, an exact cost because we have not submitted for bids. So we are unsure as to how much the boat will actually cost when we get done with the whole project. Therefore, we've asked for more than the $1.2 million to cover anything that we don't see right now. And with that, if there is any cost savings whatsoever, meaning if after everything's completed, say the county, or say boat 3 costs $1.5 million, the remaining amount would come back to the county. So do you have any questions for me?
So the 600,000 is for a boat lift?
The $600,000 would go towards anything pertaining to the boat.
A boat
So-
lift?
So it could be the boat lift, yes,
A trailer?
yes.
What else?
The sophisticated CBRN
Seaburn.
detection and protection equipment.
But we don't know how much any of that costs.
We do not.
We're just getting a grant.
We are asking for a grant,
And what if the
submitting a
doesn't-
grant.
What if the grant doesn't cover all this stuff?
Then Solomon's will go with the minimum, and they will have to find funds elsewhere. We do have one other option for the boat lift, and that does not, that's a grant that comes out in the fall. That's through DNR. It's the Waterways Grant, and we have the eligibility to get $50,000.
Where do
And-
we keep this boat now, or where will this boat be stored?
I believe it'll be stored where it is now. They'll just have to, it's, the boat that they are anticipating getting is much bigger.
Okay.
So it won't sit, and I believe,
Wait. What are trailers in case they
I
get
say come up to the mic.
yes.
up the bay or something?
I think you can better answer where the boat is stored right now.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Good morning, Commissioners. Deputy Chief Hargraves, Solomon Volunteer Rescue Squad and Fire Department. So currently, boat 3 is housed at the Solomon's Pilot House, right? The new boat would be adjacent to where the existing boat is at the Solomon's Pilot House, but it would require a new lift and new pilings.
So we do have pier work to do also then?
Pilings installed, yes, sir.
And that's part of the grant.
That would be, at the present time, that would be used towards that, yes.
So it's a trailer, it's a lift, it's pier work, and it's the
CBR.
Seaburn.
Seaburn.
And what does that do again? Remind me?
Okay, so it detects chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear vapors, spills, etc. It's a very sophisticated, it's quite different than us when our first responders go into a fire. They do have detection equipment on their PPE. So it's similar to that, but this is based on the water. So it would pick up differently than it would on land.
And nobody else has one.
The closest one to our area, from my understanding, is near Dahlgren Naval Base.
And what would happen if you didn't have this? Deputy Chief? What happens if you don't have this?
The Seaburn.
The Seaburn.
Well, so our response would be limited to detection, right? So we would be able to detect if there's a radiological incident. We wouldn't be able to do anything as far as the operations side of the house, just more of a defensive posture. As far as the port security grant, the whole reason why Solomon's Volunteer Rescue Squad and Fire Department went down this path, we took the initiative to try and reduce the cost on the county. That was last year. Last year's, unfortunately, we weren't awarded the grant. This year, we're resubmitting the grant application for a reduced cost than what last year's was at the recommendations by previous vendors and agencies that have been awarded the grant. We've amended the specs on the boat to be more in line with other agencies within our area operating, i.e. the Coast Guard, which would be a more favorable awardment of the grant. So we believe as a department we've made some necessary changes to the grant package to reduce the cost savings and be fiscal responsible with taxpayer dollars.
So what's the total cost of this boat gonna end up being?
So current quoted estimate right now is $1.2 million, as you have in the quote right now. We don't have a cost estimate on what the new slip will run. We're hoping the waterway grant will resolve that. We know we have the $1 million from the county. We have the $100,000 bond from the state. And we as a company are putting up the additional $109,000 if we are not awarded the port security grant. So, as far as the boat goes,
You said if you don't get this grant, you're gonna put up $100,000.
our company has already proved through our membership, we had to pony up the extra $109,000 if we are not awarded the port security grant.
So if you get the grant, you're not gonna put up anything?
They-
That's what I'm trying to clarify.
That would be correct. We wouldn't need to put up our company funds for that.
The grant would cover their 109,000. But also, like I said, if say the boat comes in with everything at 1.5, whatever's left over, if we obtain the port security grant, whatever's left over would come back to the county, so it would reduce your $1 million of what you've given Solomon's.
If there's anything left over. And if it's not enough, they're gonna cover out of their own pocket,
Correct.
correct?
Yes, sir.
OPT?
So this has the boat cost at 800,000.
The,
That's a 36-foot interceptor, which it grew. Wasn't it gonna be 29? Which
I'm
I'm glad,
sorry.
I'm glad it grew. Wasn't the boat originally gonna be 29 feet, not 36?
The current boat's 28. I think originally we were looking at it was a 32
But
Defender.
this has 36.
The original boat we were looking at was a 32. This one is a 36.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What's the build
But
time on
But
that?
if that's, hold on one second, if that's 800,000, where's the other, if the boat cost itself is 1.2, where's the other 400,000?
I can answer
Go
that. So the issue is with the port security grant, you can ask up to $1 million, okay? We had numerous discussions.
Gotcha.
And they recommended that we go lower than what we could get, because we have a better chance of getting something rather than nothing. So we went with a lower amount of 800,000, but the 800,000 includes the 200,000 cost match. So technically, you're only getting, it's because it's a 75-25 grant.
Okay.
So you're only going to actually get 600,000 in federal grant funding.
All right.
So
that
that's
takes-
the-
That takes care of it on this side of things. Go ahead, Mark. I'm gonna jump back on another question.
The build time on the boat.
We haven't got an exact build time, approximately 1 year, sir.
And does the boat builder put in the new Seaburn system, or is that another company?
That'd be the vendor that we're going through.
Okay.
So you say the closest boat like this is Dahlgren?
Yes, sir.
So what are their annual costs associated with, I know that Seaburn system's gotta be tested and documented probably annually. Most Coast Guard stuff, most Marine stuff related has to be documented annually. What are the costs on that gonna be?
That's, I don't have that information for you right now, sir.
All right. You might
I'm
We
sure
can
if
get
it-
that. I can get that for you.
Yeah,
I
I
can
might
do
wanna
some
look at that.
research and find out. Yeah, for the calibration and all of that, with any type of equipment that you put, technical equipment, we would need to know that, yes. So I can get that
I
for
mean, I'm
you.
quite sure there's a lot of costs associated with it. I mean, coming from the sheriff's office, that command truck, that thing's updated. We probably paid 3 times as much in upgrades and everything else to that truck as the initial price was.
Right.
And the initial price was actually a grant, so it was quote free at that point in time.
In fact, yesterday I did do some research on that, and I mean, I just briefly did, and it was like the first year, it's like $19,000 for the year, and then it's $10,000 after, each year after that. But like I said, that was just a quick check. So,
I think Deputy Chief, the concern, at least my concern is this boat keeps growing and we're knocking on the $2 million door for a boat.
I don't believe it'd get anywhere near the $2 million, sir. I think the boat, as is quoted, is $102,900 or $9,000. So the additional funds required beyond the boat purchase is gonna be the slip, a possible trailer. We took that out of the specs to reduce the cost to the citizens. So really, I don't see that. We're, like I said, we're going after the port security grant to save the taxpayer dollars and return it back to the county. That was the whole intent of this. That's the only reason why this boat has seaborne compliance, is because of this port security grant. If it wasn't for the grant, we just take the county grant and the bond and go sign the contract with the vendor and get it in production.
yeah, so on the port security grant, there are high priorities with that grant, and the Seaburn equipment is one of those. But I honestly feel that that's, for our area and the things that we have and housing to utility companies, I personally think that it's a good thing to have. I'd rather have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
But you know the thing I always bring up, if a plane crashes, we don't have a foam unit.
I know.
And somebody's gonna come in and ask for an Oshkosh foam unit one of these days, and I'm gonna hear the same thing. Because.
I totally understand.
So annual cost is important, Deputy Chief, because I know what we spend on that command unit that the sheriff's office has, that was free. And as we know, sometimes free ain't free. And and I understand it's nice to have, and one day you might need it, but that Oshkosh is just sitting there waiting for Barbara to write a grant, because somebody's gonna say, if we have a plane crash, we need to have it, so. That's my only concern.
Understand, sir.
My question would be, if you don't get the boat, then what do you do?
Oh, he's gonna get the
Well,
boat.
they're
This is
gonna
just
get a
right,
boat.
But, I mean, what do you do? I mean, what do you do if you have even a spill? I mean, do we have the equipment? I don't know. It's not what I do, but if you have a spill, you know, and anything's toxic, do we have the equipment to know that the first responders are going into a toxic area where they could take in fumes from a oil or gas? I mean, these are things that happen. I don't know. That's why I'm asking a question.
He said it would still have the detection system, but they would just be,
It's not gonna be as sophisticated. So it's the minimum, the bare minimum. Right
So-
now, that's included in the 1.2
So we
million.
have, how many tankers go into Dominion on a regular basis, bringing in liquid natural
Cal-
gas? I mean,
Yes, right now, I believe it's 95, or it's the possibility of 95 per year that we're allotted.
you know, part of the
Yes.
fleas that come with the dog with having a facility like that is
Yes.
it puts more of a stress on the first responders.
Yes,
I mean, I remember how many road closures and landing a chopper down there to make sure they could get there and all the things in place and all the meetings and all. And like I say, it's not what I do for a living, that's why I ask a question. What protects them from a spill there? If we already have the equipment in place, great, but if we don't, then I don't know what protects them.
Agreed.
Because it can't just say, well, just let it dissipate. You could, if there's something like that happens, there's probably people in the water or there's some type of incident, so that's the only reason why I'm asking.
Seems to me that we do need the boat, period. The unknown is not having numbers attached to the add-ons. If we could get those, I think we'd
Absolutely.
probably feel better about it.
okay, absolutely. I can do that. That's not a problem at all.
so have there been any conversations with Dominion or Exelon on this boat?
No, sir. Well, as far as just a letter of support on their behalf, but as far as
They're not throwing money at you.
agreements or money,
No, no.
That'd be wishful thinking now.
I mean, the reason we want this extra equipment basically is for both of them, correct?
Yes, sir. For the facilities,
They're gonna tell you that's why. they
large
write you
public
that check.
gatherings and stuff like that, the increased threats that we have.
But that's every business these days, right? There's no responsibility for the footprint. You know, they say I write my check for taxes, And no matter what I destroy or what inconvenience I put on you, well, that's on you because I wrote a tax check. And until people tell corporations you're truly responsible for your footprint and your impact on taxpayers, it will continue to do that. But then you gotta be the bad guy and not shake their hands and get pictures with them and stuff like that. So, until you're willing to tell them, hey, you're truly responsible for your footprint and your impact, those are the things that happen, and then taxpayers pay the bill as normal. But I don't wanna see you guys in any kind of harm's way, for something that is beyond your control, because I've heard it a million times, when the 911 call goes out, you're not allowed to say no.
That's right, sir.
Just my 2 cents.
Questions, directions?
So Plan B, why couldn't we order the boat?
Oh, we have.
So the
Boat's
boat,
coming, regardless of this grant, this boat is coming. The
Now-
boat is not
So has
dependent
the
on
boat
this
been
grant.
Now
ordered?
that you've approved the
Yes, yes.
county grant,
Yeah. This is just for the options. I buy a pickup truck. Do I get a
So-
150 XLT or do I get a 150 King Ranch? That's what this is about.
so the boat, we do have an order in for the boat?
We do not, we have not.
we have not officially ordered
No,
because
we
we're
have
waiting
not
on
ordered.
approval of the county grant.
Correct.
So, and that's my question, why can't we order the boat, get
We
some of
can-
these questions answered, and then as the boat is being built and getting in the process, we can tell them,
Through consent agenda today, we approved the boat.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
okay.
That
Boat
was,
order
the
will go
right.
out
Yes, sir.
today or
Now that we
whenever
have
This,
that's ready.
this part is just the port security grant, where we're
Yes.
asking for more money.
Okay,
Cadillac instead of a Pinto.
so I'm good,
That's what this is.
I'm good.
I would definitely find out about those annual costs, though.
Yes, sir, we'll
I'll
look into
definitely
that.
look into that and get back to us on that.
Absolutely,
As far
absolutely.
as direction goes.
Yep, not a problem at all.
As soon as you can.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right.
Thank you.
We have a guest in the audience, Dr. Townsend.
Good morning, Doc.
Morning.
You want to say anything, or? I'm always going to give you an opportunity if you show up.
Happy summer to everybody. Just coming to, show my presence and to be communicative and available in any way, shape, or form. Hope everyone's staying warm or staying
Stay
cool.
warm. Yeah, that's not a problem.
And having time with your families. But thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
I'll just say next week we are having our Summer Leadership Academy with all of our administrators. So that happens next week, I think the 16th through the 19th. So let's put that plug there.
And summer school's going on right now.
Summer school's going on. Everyone's doing well. So far, so good.
When does summer school end?
I don't want to misspeak, but in a couple of weeks.
Is that right?
Yes, it does.
Because I see the buses running up and down the road,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Thank you so much.
Dr. Council,
Yes, ma'am.
we talked about meeting, and if you could get your staff to connect with Katie, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, and I do want to say that our finance teams are meeting now. As a
I
matter of
know.
fact, there was a
That's great.
rescheduled meeting. I think they meet today, as a matter of
They
fact.
do, yes.
Now, are you talking,
Just for you and I to meet informally.
I'll make sure we get that on the books.
Thank you
Yes,
very
ma'am.
much.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Hanson.
Thank you.
So that brings us to a presentation, Department of Economic Development, Southern Maryland 2030 Workforce Development Initiative. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, my name is Julie Oberg. I'm the Director of Economic Development. In the interest of time, if it's okay with you, I won't read the entire memo, but I would like to introduce Bonnie Green. She is the Executive Director for the Patuxent Partnership. And she's here today to give you an update about what's going on with the Southern Maryland 2030 Workforce Development Initiative. So I'll hand it over to you, Bonnie.
How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing very well, staying cool this morning.
Yeah. Stay inside.
And thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this morning about the Patuxent Partnership, familiarly known as TPP, and our work. We're a nonprofit member organization that works with government, industry, and academia on science and technology issues, programs of interest to the naval aviation community and the broader community, and a great deal of time and energy on workforce development. We have been supporting STEM workforce for many years, and we are very happy to have Ms. Sheba Smith, the Deputy Director of Economic Development, on the TPP board. And thanks to her, we've become more engaged, been to the new golf course clubhouse, and actually the TPP team won the Leadership Southern Maryland golf tournament, so there you go.
Congratulations.
And everyone was really pleased because some of them remembered the club from 40 years ago. But anyway, that's a separate topic. Anyway, we work very closely with the College of Southern Maryland. We have an education partnership agreement with the Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division, NOC-AD, and St. Mary's College of Maryland. And we have what is called a partnership intermediary agreement with the Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division. And this covers STEM projects, other work that we do on behalf of the Navy, and it covers our Southern Maryland 2030 Workforce Development Initiative, which I'm here to talk with you about this morning. We are completing the second year of our program, and this is a program that as I said, is funded by NOC-AD, and thanks to the Southern Maryland Navy Alliance, who spent a good bit of time lobbying, and to the efforts of our Congressman Steny Hoyer, we were able to get this funding. So 2030 increases the STEM pipeline in Southern Maryland and builds career opportunities, as well as helping many of the employers find workers for positions that previously have gone unfilled. It educates high school students on careers with the Navy, on careers in the contractor community, in healthcare, across the spectrum. It has expanded our partnership in the Tri-County area. We have hosted under 2030 something that's called the Spark Career Awareness Fair. And this is a one-day program that takes place in St. Mary's County at the SMART building that's part of the University System of Maryland at Southern Maryland. And if you haven't seen it, I urge you to take a tour. It's a very impressive facility. So we, in year one, hosted about 440 students for our STEM Career Awareness Fair, and it's a hands-on, all-day program. So we had 20-some organizations from the Navy at Pax River. We had medical, we had hospitals, we had the College of Southern Maryland, we had HVAC, we had trades organizations, all talking to the students and demonstrating opportunities. We also had the Sheriff's Department and Economic Development, and it was interesting to see how many students wanted to sit down and talk about career opportunities in law enforcement as well. We did it again in February of this year, and we had 900 students, and that included 150 students this year from Calvert County. So what we do when we invite the counties to participate is we cover the cost of bus transportation, and we provide lunch for all of the students who attend. This year we even had Indian Head join us, and they brought their little robotic dogs, which were sitting still for a long time and then would jump up when someone walked by and scare the bejesus out of them, but otherwise it was just a lot of fun. We have our Tech Jobs Rule Apprentice program, which is an apprentice program that we started just before COVID on a very small scale. We kept the program going during COVID, and with the funding from the Navy, we were able to grow it exponentially, so that in year one of 2030, we had 41 apprentices. This year, this recently closed academic year, we had 65 apprentices. And not only is this really valuable to the students, some of whom stay on full-time with the organizations, which include the Navy, the contractor community, businesses, and the nonprofit community. Some of them are staying on part-time and going to the College of Southern Maryland. Others have concluded that's not what they want to do, and they're going on to another career or college or to a better opportunity. You know, we had an apprentice at Historic St. Mary's City. They were offered a job, but Wayne Davis offered them a better job. So the training was very useful, but they didn't necessarily stay there. So our initial focus, because of the funding, was on St. Mary's County, because that's what we know. We have done outreach now to Calvert County, and we have some meetings coming up, and we're also working with Charles County and the folks at Indian Head because of the career opportunities there. One of the challenges for Calvert County is two of your most substantial employers are not able to participate in an apprentice program because of security concerns and so forth.
One of the things that we did to support Calvert County in year one was committed $80,000 to the funding of the cyber lab at the Prince Frederick campus here for the College of Southern Maryland, because no matter what work you're doing, there's a cyber factor as well as careers directly in the cyber field, because it's critical across the workforce. We funded 2 summer camps last year and again this year. One is hosted at the Smart Building, and it is run by the University of Maryland at College Park, their local program here. It is free to the students, and we had again this year, it's just starting, have Calvert County students participating. We also have a solar cell camp down at St. Mary's College of Maryland, and that also has tri-county student involvement. The logistics are a little more challenging when you get that much farther down, but both of those are offered free to the students. Transportation is sometimes a challenge. We haven't been able to figure out just how to work that yet. And because many of our members and many of the people who work at Pax River live in Calvert County, we are particularly interested in getting more engaged and developing more opportunities with the students in Calvert County. NOC-AD funded years 1 and 2 and initially told us that they were not going to be able to provide year 3 funding. They have since advised us that while they won't be able to fund us at the same level, they are going to provide some funding for year 3 to augment that money and to give us enough money to continue what we're doing and to further our outreach in Calvert and Charles. We have applied for a Rural Maryland Council grant to cover the remaining funds, and we have, I've reached out to Julie Oberg to ask for a letter of support for this grant application, and we would very much appreciate your support for the grant. We are all about growing the regional workforce, and one of the things that we have learned is that for students, even in St. Mary's County, if you don't have a father, mother, sister, or brother who works inside the gate at Pax River, it's just a mystery. So we have for our apprentices and interns an opportunity for a tour inside the gate. We also fund tours of the Patuxent River Naval Air Museum, which is building up their exhibits, looking to build up the number of simulators they have, because that is a really exciting part of a visit to Pax River, is to get in a simulator and to do that. So we work closely with the museum to support their efforts. And again, that covers admission and bus transportation, because we understand just how challenging the bus transportation can be. And we are always available to talk about the work we're doing. And this year we have in our summer intern program, our college intern program, we have 43 college interns, again, working across Navy, the contractor community, and the nonprofit community. It's a paid internship, 8 weeks. We have professional development sessions. Last week we had a mega intern program at the museum, which engaged the interns for 2030, some of the interns working at Pax River, and other organizations in the community that also have interns. So part of the value of what we're doing is to get everyone engaged across all of the communities that are engaged in STEM education and outreach. But the skilled trades and artisans has been particularly useful to a lot of the companies here, because after COVID, they simply couldn't fill positions. And by getting an apprentice who's getting a 450-hour paid position, who's really getting training, they're not being a gopher, they're not just sitting around, they're learning, whether it's at J.F. Taylor or they're learning how to work in a museum. They're learning and they're developing skills that allow them to go into full-time employment or partner with CSM or look for other ways to continue their education and to be a part of the workforce. So I'm sure I've left things out, but that is the Cliff Notes version of 2030, and I would welcome the opportunity to answer any questions you might have.
So is your focus high school students, college students?
So
or-
the apprentice program is totally focused on high school seniors, because it's an apprentice program that's lined with the Apprentice Maryland program of the Department of Labor. So it has not only the cost of
of the salary, but because it is a high school program, the coordinators within the St. Mary's County, Charles, and Calvert County schools, we have coordinators that work with us as well to do that. The college intern program is open to students who have completed at least 1 year of college. And we have a few that are in the nonprofit sector. It's more heavily aligned with the Navy, the contractor community, because the Navy has their own program inside the gate. The Navy does use, I think we will have 16 apprentices inside Pax River in the fall, because it is such a successful program in terms of the workforce. So I think 25% of the apprentices this year, stayed on full-time with their companies.
So 22, 23, what was your total budget?
So our total budget is about $950,000 for year one and for year two. For year three, what we're looking to do is reduce the number of interns. We've demonstrated the value to the community of the intern program. We have, there's a Maryland program called Maryland Technical Intern Partnership, MTIP. And MTIP will fund up to 50% of an intern's salary, up to $3,000, so you could hire a student for the summer and over the Christmas break. So we're looking at companies who have participated for the past year or two and saying, all right, you can see the benefits. We are going to look at companies that haven't participated for year three. If we have space, we will come back to you, but meanwhile, we are going to work with you to find other ways to fund the salary. Now, none of that ever covers the on-the-job training and the time that you have to devote to getting an intern settled in. And it's an 8-week program because the colleges we work with are all over the place in terms of when they end and when they start, and we need a one-size-fits-all program because we actually hire all these people as our employees over the summer. The companies who maintain a part-time employment with the students after the summer, they may go ahead and get them, start a security clearance and do other work so that they can continue, and then they can have access to the work that they're doing inside the gate. But so much of that is restricted. Our apprentices, since most of them are under 18, get what's called a guest pass, right? They can't get a contractor card or any of that. They get a pass that allows them access. And we have, as I said, 16 for next year. More of them are down at Webster Field, which is the small unmanned systems and the communications work that they do. And some of them are working, 6 or so are at the main Pax River.
But you're not restricted to just working with the contractors and the defense. You can work with any business or.
All right, we're working with a lot of other businesses, generally not in the medical side for us because the hospital, they want to do things differently. So MedStar does, they have their own kinds of guidelines so that while they're part of the broader program, we're not engaged on the medical side, although some of the interns are all over the place. And we have an intern at Solderly, we have an apprentice at Solderly, we have, in the museum division, a lot of activity. And we recruit across the spectrum because that's where the careers are. You want a student to have a career opportunity where she or he is thinking about long-term employment. So, yeah.
Luckily, we don't have MedStar. We have a great independent hospital.
Yes,
here in
I
Calvert
know.
County.
My daughter I made the sad mistake of letting my husband take her to have her wisdom tooth removed, and then we had it done at Calvert Hospital because they wouldn't let her have a second chance because, I can't do this. So we had a wonderful experience at Calvert Hospital, and some of the people I know who are involved in the foundation and so forth.
They're very glad to hear that. They're sitting behind
Oh,
you.
good, yay.
I was hoping that didn't
could've
take a
gone
wrong
the
turn.
wrong
I was so hoping that didn't.
No, I just thought, why did I think my husband could do this? Right. Anyway,
Because men are incompetent.
that's right. No, they've been very helpful personally too, so.
So you're already collaborating with the public school system here in Calvert?
I am.
and
In fact,
CSM?
I'm waiting for another meeting with Dr. Townsell and.
We
Carrie.
can probably
Yes, I
arrange
heard
that.
him.
He's
I
here,
heard him.
so-
I saw him have to bend almost in half to speak into the microphone. So yes, we've just been waiting for people to come back from vacation to talk about that. And by expanding beyond traditional career opportunities, you can look at, museums, other nonprofit organizations, a lot of other opportunities to develop these partnerships. And we provide some of the funding. This is a challenge for apprentices in particular. One of the really good things about the apprentice program is it aligns totally with the Maryland Blueprint for Education. In St. Mary's County, one of the ways they use apprentices is they can't fill their own jobs for HVAC and maintenance and electric. So
We hear-
they will have them train and then hire them to work in the school system afterwards. So that's particularly useful for them.
We hear that everywhere, in every sector. They can't find
That's right.
skilled workers.
So from that perspective, COVID turned out to really boost the interest in the apprentice program. Because people who we would never have thought to, I would not have thought to reach out to construction companies, but they came to us, so.
So, are we gonna see more activity from TPP here in Calvert County?
You are,
Working with Director Oberg?
yes, and Sheba Smith keeps me totally informed on all things Calvert and when something is opening, when there's a ribbon cutting, when the DHCD person is here, whatever. So yes, it's very important.
Yeah.
We
Well,
value
appreciate
it.
Is there anything you need from us today?
A letter of support.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we could probably do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
Absolutely. We look forward to more involvement.
I expect you to hear about it in the fall. Thanks
All right.
again.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Rest of the summer.
So that brings us to our last presentation, Department of Economic Development, Calvert Health Update, new partnership, and Duke Health's Career Care Network. Director Oberg?
I think that you should all just go ahead right up front. My name's Julie Ober, Director of Economic Development. We have Calvert Health and CEO Jeremy Bradford, as well as his team here, so I'll let him go ahead and introduce them and go ahead and get the briefing started. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, it's still morning, yeah, it's still morning.
Absolutely. It's a privilege and honor to be before you all again. As Commissioner Hanson and I had previous conversations around coming back to the conversation of the partnership between Duke Health and Calvert Health. So we felt like the timing was appropriate, and it's my distinct honor and privilege to introduce to you all a well-known entity here in Calvert County and a staple in our organization and a very valued member, and that's Dr. Ted Sangaris to my right. Not only is Dr. Sangaris a well-renowned surgeon, he's a wonderful person and man, and with high integrity and morals and values. And to be able to serve beside a leader, not just a physician leader, but an individual leader, I can tell you that I'm mesmerized every day as far as Ted's ability to maneuver through the medical community, which can be complicated at times, but also just the ongoing feedback that we get from his patients in the community as far as just his personal approach and how he handles himself both personally and professionally. And Dr. Sangaris would not brag on himself, but he's well trained, has held a number of different leadership positions, including at Johns Hopkins, as well as taken on the VP of MA, Vice President of Medical Affairs at Calvert Health, the Chief Medical Officer role, and the Medical Director of our cancer program. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Sangaris to provide you an update with regard to our partnership with Duke Health. Dr. Sangaris?
Thank you, Jeremy. I'm sorry, my family's not sitting behind me, so I get it.
We tape that. We can send you the
Great,
tape.
thank you, I appreciate it. No, it's really an honor to be here, and I appreciate the audience. Let me see, let me give you a little, some highlights, and then I'm going to definitely be open to questions. So, you know, we've been working on a strategic initiative with Jeremy's arrival, prioritizing some things that we thought were very important to the county from a health standpoint. Women's health is one of them, nutrition, bariatrics, orthopedics, and of course cancer was a huge one. And I don't need to tell you that from a cancer standpoint, the state of Maryland in and of itself has some of the highest incidence and poor outcomes in the country. In the state of Maryland, Calvert County doesn't do very well either. And rural counties in general don't do well, but here's some of the facts. Age-adjusted death rate, meaning per age, You know, we have a bad outcome from breast cancer, cancer in general, melanoma, lung cancer, colorectal cancer, and prostate cancer. We did a need assessment, and we found that we really did have a significant need for our cancer program. A lot of work went into deciding who we might want to partner with, because as a rural county hospital, cancer care really requires lots of resources. And we can't afford to do it ourselves. We don't have the bandwidth to do it. We don't have the bench strength to do it. So we looked at multiple partners, some of them within the state, some of them more locally, and then Duke University came to the forefront, partly because they've done this before. They have 13 affiliates in their network, and that goes from Michigan to South Carolina. And so they had a lot of practice working with community hospitals like ours to help develop their cancer program and help maintain the cancer program at a high level. The key was to keep our patients local, keep them here in the county, so that very few times would a patient here in Calvert County have to go anywhere else. And Duke really fit the bill. And you're saying, well, what about Hopkins, et cetera? To be an independent hospital within the county, Duke fit the bill the best. So I don't need to tell you about Duke other than it is a world-class hospital. It has more than just a great basketball program. Currently, they're ranked 29th in U.S. World and News Report. I'm not a big list person, but this is a consistent finding. And to put some perspective on that, if you're a member of this county and you want good health care, you'd have to go to Philadelphia, to University of Pennsylvania, Johns Hopkins, or Duke University to get that kind of care. That's the spread of how good Duke is, and the kind of the paucity of what's here in the state. Yes, Hopkins is world ranked, but just so you know, this Duke is a player in cancer. Areas of collaboration. These were things we identified as opportunities for our cancer program and how we thought Duke could help us. Clinical practice, performance improvement, business and operations, clinical research, and education. Let's talk about education. These are some very basic things that we haven't had up until this point. So CME accreditation, continuing medical education for not only doctors but nurses, and Duke provides that for all cancer-related educational programs. I didn't mean to do that, sorry guys. Education for the nurses, they've come up here, we've been able to send our nurses down to Durham for education, so this has been a great two-way street. Palliative care externships, pharmacy, our pharmacists came down and went to Duke, and they came up and looked at our pharmacy, which, by the way, is one of the best pharmacies I've ever been privileged to be associated with. And then onboarding for all our registered nurses and advanced practice providers. Okay. So really, really exciting stuff. Two pictures over on the right, just so you know, are two of our outstanding medical oncologists, Dr. Arthi Patel and Dr. Ken Abbott. They are now integrated into the Duke Cancer Network annual review, which is coming up next weekend in Durham. And Dr. Patel in particular will be, again, a moderator for advanced pulmonary cancer care. So this is a two-way street. We're integrating our providers and our nurses into their educational programs. Clinical practice, tumor board involvement. So we have 3 tumor boards. We have a breast tumor board, which I am missing right now, which happens every week. We have a lung and thoracic tumor board that happens twice a month. And then we have a general tumor board. These are where all specialists get together and discuss interesting cases and difficult cases. And Duke not only participates in many of those for us, with either a specialist in surgery or medical oncology, but we are also now starting to participate in their tumor boards. So this is a great opportunity for an exchange of ideas and best practices. And then the peer-to-peer relationships for our providers. So I can pick up the phone and call up another breast surgeon and ask their opinion on a difficult case, and vice versa. So again, our local patients are getting top-notch recommendations and care because of this relationship. Exciting to say, Dr. Ahmed is going to be leading our research program, which we have not ever had here at Calvert. Our application for the Alliance trial, which is a nationwide cooperative study group, which we will be doing that through Duke University, was put in several weeks ago. We're hoping by next week we'll find whether we were actually accepted. And that's a huge opportunity for us to provide clinical trials for our patients here in Calvert County. Again, they don't have to go to Durham for these clinical trials. They don't have to go to New York or MD Anderson. They don't even have to go up to Baltimore. They can stay right here and have top-notch care, which I think is huge. Performance improvement, this has been very helpful. They've looked at our order sets. They've looked at the way we process our patients, the way we write our notes, our medical records, and they've been very much involved in improving how we take care of our cancer patients, just from an administrative and legal standpoint. So this has been really very important. And then business operations and managements. They've been helpful and significantly helpful in getting the robot, which many of you know you've been very much involved with, and we greatly appreciate your support. They've been collaborative on, again, order set integration, documentation review. They've been very supportive not only of our hospital, but of our community here at Calvert County. Again, I'm not a big list person, but I do want to let people know that Becker's Hospital Review ranked our hospital as one of the top 100 health organizations who have an oncology program. Now, that's not small community hospitals. That's not rural hospitals. That's hospitals throughout the nation. So to give you an understanding of how that puts us here in the county, three Maryland hospitals made that list: University of Maryland, Johns Hopkins, and Calvert Health. In Washington, D.C., none of the large cancer hospitals made this list. The only one that did was Children's Hospital for their children's oncology program. And then from Virginia, Inova. So that puts us in rarefied air, I believe. And I think we should all be very proud of it. And I appreciate the support of our executive team, of this county, and of our foundation, because a lot of work went into this recognition. I'm very proud of it. So with that, I am open to questions and happy to answer them.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time. Last time Jeremy and I met, I said, you need to come in and talk about it because there's nobody in Calvert County that cancer hasn't touched.
Yes, sir.
And as I hear friends and people say, I have an issue, I tell them about this great collaboration that you all have. In fact, had a neighbor years ago, his wife had very serious issues, got connected to Duke. Eventually, they moved to North Carolina so she could be closer to Duke, and we don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
And I'm going to age myself now, but to me, to see Calvert Memorial grow into what is there today is just amazing. And as you say, in Calvert, we have serious cancer issues, and we are all so grateful that this has all come about, and now our citizens don't have to travel to even Baltimore. I tell everybody we're really blessed being so close to Washington and Baltimore and having the health resources that we have. And now to see this happen right here in Calvert just adds cherry on top. So
Appreciate that.
I don't question.
To make you feel younger, I even remember the brick building.
Is that right? Shoot, I don't know how.
No, we thank you for what you've are doing and everything. But is there any one cancer that is outstanding in Calvert County or outperforming or more prevalent in Calvert than?
So breast, of course, is large. I'm proud to say I think we have an outstanding breast program. And other than the clinical trials, which we haven't been doing, I think our breast program is as good as anybody's. And so I'm terribly proud of that. Has the Duke affiliation helped that along? Yes, I think it has from a clinical standpoint, from a research standpoint. Colorectal is a large problem here in the county. We're excited about that affiliation with Duke because some things have really happened recently that are going to allow our patients here who have colorectal disease to be, again, treated better and treated locally. First is the robot. The robot is not just a fancy piece of equipment. It allows our physicians to get into spaces that were kind of prohibitive in the past. And that's not just for colorectal. That's for GYN, for women's health, and for prostate, so urology. So that robot has been huge. The other is there have been some changes in the way that we've been addressing particularly rectal cancer, which has been hugely problematic. So now there are non-operative approaches to rectal cancer, where before, and I'm old enough to say they required a huge operation, and it was really problematic. And because Duke is a leader in colorectal cancer, we're already working on setting up an opportunity so again, patients can be treated here and when appropriate, non-surgically, and they get to stay here locally. So that's good. GYN, almost all the cancers. Melanoma is a big one because of where we are in the water sports and people being out in the sun. So melanoma is very large, and then prostate. So we are not spared any of the tumor sites. We have them, but I'm mostly excited about colorectal. Lung, again, we've gotten a little bit of an expertise, again, in lung through Dr. Patel, and tobacco, smoking, et cetera, here in the county. So we're addressing them, and I think the Duke affiliation has really helped that.
Thank you.
So I don't even know how to ask this question. So how many patients are working with Duke through the hospital? I guess is how I'm trying to frame up my question.
So, both good and bad. So we are able to take care of almost everything with some advice from Duke. We have probably not greased the transfer of patients as well as we could have.
Okay.
And that's not only just physically having them go down to Durham, but also virtual opportunities. Because of state rules, and different states have different rules, a provider, say in Durham, needs a license in the state of Maryland and vice versa. And so that's a little bit of an obstacle. So that could be better, and we're working on that, and everyone's aware of that. I think the key will be, again, some of these programs, as I mentioned to you, about colorectal and how the opportunity with trials and clinical pathways that we can take care of the patient here, not necessarily have them see a specialist at Duke unless absolutely necessary, but they getting the expertise of the Duke University through our excellent medical oncology and staff. Having said that, it's only 4 hours. It's a lovely trip. I'd rather take that trip than sometimes going into the District of Columbia. So if we have to, we have had patients who have gone down and visited, and then they come back, and that gets us by you need a license in the state of Maryland or wherever they need their license.
And at some point in the future, I think that there's going to be enough research. Maybe we can figure out why we are having higher rates than other places.
And I'm hoping, and that's a population health concern, and as we get closer with our Health Department and through Duke, I think those are questions that we definitely need to ask. Yes, sir.
So do you see many of your cases where if someone had gone in and had procedures done earlier, is early intervention, I mean, how much of that do you see early intervention really making a difference in the treatment side of things for your programs?
It's enormous. Breast, again, is a great example. With excellent screening, we are finding cancers much earlier so that the treatments are less onerous than they've been in the past, less invasive. I don't like that word, but yeah, that's the idea. I think in addition, with the advances, so for instance now, again, breast is a great example. I can predict even before I operate on a person, we can predict who is going to need chemotherapy or not. And the traditional indicators of who's going to need chemotherapy, say a positive lymph node or locally advanced breast cancer, sometimes, or large breast cancers, I would say, sometimes those patients, even with a positive lymph node, they don't need chemotherapy because of the markers and the extra studies that we're able to do. It's pretty remarkable. So, but to answer your question, yes, screening is key, and that's why we've worked really hard with our lung program to get early screening, CT screening, and our prostate program, melanoma, all of these, the earlier the better. There's no question about that. Screening needs to be a huge part of any cancer program.
That's probably the most important thing
Yes,
a
sir.
person can do is go get screened then.
Yes, sir. And going to a good cancer program, because as I said, some things that we hear about, you look and you say, they told you needed to do what? And that's because they're not involved with what we call the multidisciplinary approach. And every tumor site needs the multidisciplinary approach.
And Commissioner Ireland, I would just add, I put a plug in for primary care, just early detection and being established with the primary care physician to do that preventive type work, which will also help be a segue to the specialist as well.
So, and we always hear that income impacts healthcare. So in Calvert, while we don't have a high rate of lower income, is there something we can do to help increase the healthcare for our lower income citizens?
Yeah, I just read an article yesterday. There are some things. So setting up programs like we have, partnerships with health systems like Duke, that's very important. Health insurance, that's a big one, is making sure that the health insurance that's available to our citizens will cover some of the cost of cancer care. And that's a real problem. And there's been all sorts of thoughts from the American Cancer Society how we could improve that. But making sure that all of our citizens are covered with the best, and sometimes your rural citizens will sign on for these high deductions, and then they don't really cover everything that's needed to cover. So making sure, almost from an education standpoint, that our citizens in rural areas understand what it is that they're being involved with, so that they don't get surprised when they get this enormous bill and their insurance companies say, we're not covering that. That's been a big problem for what I understand.
So is there a pathway or an opportunity for those individuals to get financial support so they get the care that they need? Because you're right, they pick insurance coverage based on the premiums that they can afford. They come in, they have cancer, we know it's very expensive. How do they get the care that they need?
There
in
are
that situation?
programs which I cannot speak to in detail in this county, I know.
But there is a path.
There is a path. And for the most part, it's not an obstruction, but it does require some work. We have really good nurse navigators. We now have a financial nurse navigator who is very helpful, and that's been a big part of our program. So that's an opportunity there.
Well, good.
Well, I just want to thank you all for all that you're doing. I've been here 49 years. And
Newcomer, she just.
Yeah, I'm a newcomer. And I've watched the hospital grow. you're such a blessing to the community, and as I age out, and I often heard my father say, and I know it's coming for me, and I've experienced a part of it, healthcare doctor's appointments become part of our social lives. And to know that you're here in Calvert County and the service you're providing. And also, I want to commend you on the magazine that comes out. And it's so encouraging for individuals to see countyans who have experienced breast cancers, strokes, and how they were helped through the hospital and the resources that we do have. Our eldest child has a son who has a chronic condition, and while they are very fortunate that they're not low-income earners, the treatment for our grandson was cost prohibitive. It would have just wiped them out. And they did search and search and search and found support to get that extra financial care so he could have the treatment that they needed, and they could keep the kids in college and, put food on the table, so on and so forth. So the hospital has just been invaluable to this community, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you do. And I've tried out your machine, and I think it's just so nifty, and it just amazed me that I could even do it, because I'm not a very technical person, but I was able to pick up and move, and it's just marvelous. And thank you all again. I know it's a team. I was on the hospital ball committee, and we helped raise money, and it's all good. It's all good. You all have grown, and you're such a blessing. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I also thank you guys for everything. I just hope I'm not a customer anytime soon, no offense. Kind of like you where you are and everything that's going on, So both our kids were born there. That's good enough for me, and I'm from that probably that ancient tribe of, you only come there when you're about to die, and I know that's not good. So, but you guys have gave me some great advice on a dermatologist a little while back. I don't know if folks know that, just because you're there for something doesn't mean you don't know the whole community.
Right.
So, thanks for what you do.
Thank you. And I'd just like to close and just share with you all, at the end of the day, you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with in any organization. And because Dr. Sangaris is sitting next to me, Dr. Sangaris could work at any health institution in this country, just so you all know that, as well as many other members of our team. And we're blessed to be able to work beside quality and talented and high-integrity people. And you could have the best equipment, including the robot and many other pieces of equipment they have, but if you don't have the people, you don't have an organization. So we just want to say thank you all for your ongoing support of our organization, as well as the 1,100 team members that we have at Calvert Health for the difference in the commitment that they make every single day. So thank you all for the partnership and the ongoing collaboration.
Well, we hope that we provide them a great quality of life, and they don't want to go anyplace else. So
You do.
that's our role.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But
We're
I
all
can
in it
operate
together.
that machine, if the doctor's on vacation, I've done it twice. I mean,
But not everybody goes home and plays video games at nighttime.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
But again, thank you for coming
Thank you.
in
Sure.
and getting the word out so everybody understands what it's all about. And this, Commissioner Hart said, it's one of those things, you're glad it's there, but you hope you never have to go. But if you do, it's a blessing that it's there. So we greatly appreciate all your work, Dr. Sangaris, and
our
hope you
pleasure. Thank
stay
you
here
very
until
much.
you retire.
Not
Thank
too
you.
soon.
Yeah, not too soon.
We're going to keep him around.
But- And thank you for
Thank you.
coming in.
Yeah,
We
thank
do
you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you all. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all.
I believe that brings us to public comment, Mr. County Attorney.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The board adopted a resolution in 1989 intending to maintain the order and decorum of the governmental process. A copy is found here to my right. Persons are welcome to address the Board of County Commissioners on any matter germane to the business of county government. Those addressing the board shall not be uncivil, rude, vulgar, profane, or otherwise disruptive to the conduct of the board's business. All speakers must identify themselves, and whether speaking as an individual, will be allocated 2 minutes, or as the appointed spokesperson of a group, will be allocated 5. Those who are attending virtually, please use the raise your hand function or press *9 to raise your hand. The Ethics Commission has asked that we remind speakers of public comment that lobbyists include those who seek to influence public policy. Lobbyists must register in advance. First hand I see is virtual, Joe Cormier. Please unmute yourself, identify yourself, and whether speaking as an individual or the designated representative of a group.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Joseph Cormier. I'll be speaking on behalf of myself today. I'd like to start by reminding families that they can register for the Summer Grab-and-Go Meals Program. Today's the last day to register for tomorrow's pickup. You have to do it by 4 p.m. Summer meals can be provided every Wednesday through August 7th. Meal kits include a weekly distribution of 5 breakfasts, 5 lunches, and milk for each meal for each student. The household qualifies for free and reduced lunch. The meals are free, but if not, households that don't qualify can pay out of pocket, and some funds are available to help bridge the gap for those who don't qualify. Please contact County Public Schools Department of Child Nutrition Office at 443-550-8680 to confirm your eligibility and register your child for more information. In addition to the meal pickups, community partners like the Judy Center, Library, Parks and Rec, and the Sheriff's Office are available. The pickup sites at Windy Hill Middle School, Southern Middle School, and Calvert High School. Again, same-day registration is not available. You have to register by 4 p.m. on the Tuesday before the Wednesday. I'd like to shout out our Parks and Rec staff for Library Month, or Parks and Rec Month. My son's at a camp today. They're touring National Stadium with the baseball team. The staff are providing a safe and engaging and fun activities, and I appreciate your investment in their programming. I also want to shout out the Summer Youth Employment Program for students with developmental disabilities. The Department of Special Ed, in cooperation with DOORS, Department of Rehabilitative Services, have connected with local businesses to partner with our students to get these students hands-on job experience and lifelong social skills and connections in the community that they can use when the bus stop stops coming. Thank you to the Sheriff's Office and our Fire and EMS for safe 4th of July fireworks across the county. I appreciate your investment in them as well in a community for safe events like First Fridays in North Beach. And I look forward to the comptroller's visit next week, and I hope we can get an update on the SDAT evaluation and the LNG nuclear plants and their role in our state education funding formulas. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Caller, last 4 digits 4444. Please press star 6 to unmute yourself and identify yourself and whether speaking as an individual or the designated representative of a group. I see they've lowered their hand.
Melted in the heat.
Mr. President, that caller was the last one to have raised their hand for public comment, and now they've unmuted themselves. Ms. Lovell, do you want to provide public comment?
Yes, I do.
Please go
My
ahead.
name is John Lovell, speaking as an individual. Do you hear me?
Yes.
My goal is for the citizens of this county to have a prudent, responsible, transparent, manageable government as you promised in your letter to the citizens, which today you have not produced with the FY25 budget document. Commissioner Grasso, I agree completely with you that this has been a piss-poor budget this year, not because of the BOE, but because you, county commissioners, and your staff. You produced 4 versions of the budget document this year. 2 were supposedly final adopted versions, but have differing appropriation amounts, and both were produced after the emergency meeting. All 4 are full of numerous errors, both material and immaterial. On June 4th, I asked if you knew what you were adopting when you adopted a draft budget resolution without numbers nor dates. It is now apparent that you do not, because your currently posted signed resolution does not reflect the numbers in your final budget document. So, what is the general fund budget? And are we going to get another version? When will the bait and switch stop? The song Waiting on the World to Change by John Mayer so aptly describes this type of environment with the lyric, what you get is what you got, because when they own the information, they can bend it all they want. Since March, in numerous recorded meetings, you have stated the fund balance is under $45 million. Now that you have raised both property and income taxes, it has miraculously doubled to $73 million, and it may go even higher once the 24 actuals are available. You're bending the information your way. The Commissioner's budget transferred $13.676 million from general fund to general fund. When I questioned that budget line item, you decided that it was a transfer for pay-go funding for CIP projects. Now the general fund expenditure budget shows a $13.67 million transfer to capital projects fund prior year pay-go on page 48. But the CIP summary page, which doesn't have a page number on it, but I believe it is page 238, does not show a revenue on the line for county funding pay-go. So where's the $13.67 million? Again, what's the transparency? No, you stated that the pay-go funding is required in order to receive certain general grant funds, and fulfill prior year commitments. And by the way, why did the PAYGO funding increase $3.7 million from $9.96 million in FY24 to $13.67 million in FY25? Why the increase when the county administrator made such a big deal about how he has scrubbed unnecessary spending? Why isn't there a deferred list of CIP projects in the budget document? Again, transparency. I am very much at a disadvantage here because you are allowed all the time you want or need to make your statements while I'm only given 2 minutes, which is clearly insufficient to cover all your budget discrepancies. So you will be hearing from me again and again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is the last speaker, Mr. President.
Thank you. That brings us to commissioner reports. Commissioner Cox.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a very productive meeting with Secretary Day last week. We did have a retirement from Carolyn Sunderland from Planning and Zoning, many years of helping the citizens out of Calvert County. Want to recognize her today. And also Matt Cummers is starting his second chapter in his career and moving on to MDE. Want to congratulate him for 19-plus years at the Health Department and all he did over there. And I hope everybody had a very safe and nice 4th of July. Thank you.
Commissioner Ireland.
I hope everyone had a great 4th as well. Please keep the Hardesty family in your thoughts and prayers for the loss of a loved one. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Hart.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. My deepest condolences. A young man took his life down my way here recently, and just please reach out to your kids. They're hard to figure out. I've got 2, and I sometimes don't understand what he's saying or what she's saying, but I do my best, and you just keep plugging away at it. Very nice kid, and I don't think people knew around him that he was in trouble, and so very, very sad. Also, down at the Southern Community Center tonight, there will be a meeting at 7 o'clock to discuss Lusby Villas, which is basically an apartment complex. Many of you have been surprised at the amount of apartments. I believe Prince Frederick is on pace for 1,000 or so with what's here and what's proposed out there. So, different landscape. So we'll be streamed live, and so people will be asking questions, and you will get to see the process as it's laid out. And I encourage all part of the county. As a kid, I didn't think it was possible to see that many, and I don't see an end in sight. So I did, like I say, it would be good for the whole county just to watch and take your own take from it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Grasso.
Well, like Commissioner Cox said, we had a very productive meeting with Secretary Day, and since then I've been on vacation and celebrated 4th of July. But I want the public to know, yes, we do take vacations, but while we're on vacation, we have such a great staff that keeps us connected, sends us information we need. We're making decisions when we're out of this country or in this country. I want to thank all of our directors and our immediate staff for all that they do to support the county commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm just going to remind everybody of the public service announcements. If you need, we do have cooling. Our community centers are open that have cool air conditioning. And we do have, as of July 1st, we have free public transportation now. I understand since July 1st, ridership is way up. And for those of you that may question why we went to free ridership is because when we did an analysis, it was costing us more to collect the fares and we were getting out of fares. So we save money by not charging people to ride our buses. So people don't have any excuse now not to ride a bus. Also want to remind everybody the animal shelter is over capacity, so they have waived fees, and they have lots of animals there for adoption. This afternoon, we're going to cut the ribbon at the Public Safety Building. As Commissioner Hart mentioned, tonight there's going to be a public informational meeting on the Lusby Villas project. So if you're interested, that meeting is at 7 p.m. at the Southern Community Center. You can also watch that meeting live on YouTube. And I think we're going to be welcoming the Secretary from MDE next Tuesday, and the Comptroller is going to be in town on Friday, this Friday the 19th, correct? Next Friday, the 19th. Yeah, that's right, it's next week. And as I said earlier, please say a prayer for our farmers. The hot and dry weather is creating quite an issue for our farmers, so we'll say a little prayer. And that's not for one little rain shower that happened in Lusby yesterday where I didn't even have to turn on my windshield wipers. I want to see a stuck tractor somewhere in a field. That's what I want to see. So, again, hey, it's the business. I've been through them before and might see one again before I'm done, but it's just the nature of the business, but it does make it any easier. So with that, I will entertain a motion, Madam Vice Chair.
Okay. I move that we recess to closed session pursuant to Section 3-305B7 to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, and 3-305B8 to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.